Because of sensitivities of today's culture, we will make this statement about Dunham High School and other schools in Letcher County. This was done during a time of Jim Crow laws and the separate but equal laws. We are covering the African American schools at that time called colored schools because unfortunately they were separated. New laws came into place that changed this forever, and that was a good thing. With this understanding, the people and the places should be remembered for their contributions to Jenkins and Letcher County as a whole. This topic is not up for political debate, but only stands in remembering a time that no longer exists. For those who forget their history are surely doomed to repeat it. According to the Mountain Advocate, the first graded schools in Whitesburg, Kentucky held its first graduation commencement on March the 23rd and March 24th in 1911. J. Neal Burnside was one of the few African American superintendents in the state of Kentucky at that time. The school teachers were Miss S. P. Lewis of Fairfield and Ellen B. Adams of Barboursville, Kentucky. Because of the influx of black coal miners working for the Consolidation Coal Company, schools needed to be established for their children to get an education. There was an agreement between Consolidation Coal Company and Letcher County School Board that all money collected from taxes and money paid to the school treasury would be used to maintain and upkeep of the schools for the education of black students of the county. The first schools in Jenkins Independent School System was established on April the 26th, 1915. The school had one teacher and 58 students. There would be 3 schools established for the students of Jenkins, Dunham, and Burdine. The schools that were established at that time were only grade schools. It would not be until 1931 that there would be a high school established. The schools would continually grow, with the numbers reaching a peak of 528 students by the 1928-29 academic school year for Letcher County as a whole. In 1931, the city of Jenkins, Kentucky, and Letcher County School Board would come to an agreement and establish Dunham High School. This school would serve grades 1 through 12. As part of the agreement, Letcher County contracted with Jenkins to make sure that the students would receive an education throughout the county. Students from Jenkins, McRoberts, Fleming, and Hayman would all attend Dunham High School. The first 9th grade class would enroll this year. This class would graduate in the 1934-35 academic school year. By the 1936-37 academic year, more elementary schools would be established for the surrounding communities of Hayman, Carbon Glow, Fleming, and Tom Biggs in McRoberts, Kentucky. During this time period, sadly, Dunham High School would be the only high school available in Letcher County for its African American students for many years. In 1938, Jenkins Independent School Board voted to request an addition of 4 new school rooms to the Dunham High School by the Consolidation Coal Company. This was accepted, and 4 rooms were added to Dunham High School campus. Unfortunately, this was the only high school that black students were allowed to attend until laws changed. On December the 7th, 1953, Oliver Brown versus Topeka, Kansas School Board of Education was decided. This lawsuit is famously called the Brown versus the Board of Education. The Supreme Court struck down laws of separate but equal that were on the books. There were actually 5 cases total that culminated in the striking down of the laws that kept everyone separated from each other. The other lawsuits involved were combined into a single case and brought before the Supreme Court. Although the idea of separate but equal looked good on paper, it was not so in practice. Many of the facilities were consistently inferior, underfunded, or just non-existent. These set of laws institutionalized the second-class citizenship of most African Americans in the United States of America. These laws were defeated by other Supreme Court rulings such as Heart of Atlanta Motel Incorporated versus the United States in 1964. The remaining Jim Crow laws fell when the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights of 1965 were passed. It would not be until the end of the 1963-64 school year that Dunham High School would close its doors and the children integrated into the schools of Jenkins Independent School System. There would be 4 principals over Dunham High School for the years of 1931 through 1964. The building would be converted into a junior high school for the school system until the building burned down in 1969. The first school that became integrated was the St. George Catholic Church in Jenkins, Kentucky in the academic year of 1963 through 64. The first class of integrated Jenkins High School would be 1964 through 65. This would not be an easy transition for the students into the new school system. However, they broke ground for future generations of students in the city of Jenkins. There were many in Letcher County that were not ready for the changes that needed to be made. After integration, there was trouble for several years. Unfortunately, the attitudes did not change with the court rulings. Fortunately, they have been changing over the years, but it has been one person at a time. But to quote the great Martin Luther King Jr., "We ain't where we ought to be. We ain't what we want to be. We ain't what we're going to be. But thank God we ain't what we was." The city of Jenkins has put up the historical marker of 2607 to commemorate the Dunham High School. The marker was dedicated on August 28, 2021. The location of this marker is in front of the Jenkins Public Library in Jenkins, Kentucky. The marker reads, Dunham High School. Dunham High School opened in 1931 as the only high school for black students in Letcher County. The school educated students from Jenkins, McRoberts, Fleming, and Hammond areas. Dunham High School remained open until 1964, a decade after Brown v. Board of Education, which ruled racial segregation in the public schools unconstitutional. It was destroyed by fire in 1969. We would like to thank Carolyn Rodgers for all her tireless work for finding the history of Dunham High School. Thank you for not letting our history fall to the sands of time and be lost forever. We would also like to thank Eileen Sanders for all her tireless work in staying up with me one night to find out more information about the schools of Jenkins and the time that should never be forgotten in our history books. And a huge thank you to my best friend, Beverly Thompson-Etter. Thank you for letting me bend your ear when I was struggling on how to best handle this difficult part of our history. I love you always. You are my rock and my inspiration, but most of all, you are my best friend. We would also like to dedicate this story to Lois Thompson and her fellow classmates of Jenkins class 1964-1965. While we are sure there was a lot of things that went on that should not have, your class broke barriers and plowed ground for the rest of us, and that followed after your footsteps. Thank you for being the Blue Devils and continuing to show us all how to truly be Cavaliers as we walk together in our journey into the future, hand in hand. Thank you for watching our video, Dunham High School, 1931 to 1964. We thank you for continuing to support Kentucky Tennessee Living as we bring you the history of the Appalachian Mountains. Please like, subscribe, and share below. Also hit the bell for notifications of future videos. And once again, be sure to leave us a "Hey y'all" in the comment section below. We thank you for continuing to support us and watch our videos.